Good morning, Craig Howard here. Happy to be with you again this morning. Having my morning cup of coffee and just spending a couple minutes with you. Suppose you made a trip to Greenland and you were visiting some huge unknown glacier, and you stand there looking at this. It's wintertime, and you stand there looking at this wall of ice, this massive wall of ice. And you're standing in awe of this thing. You look at the grandeur of it, you look at the beauty of it, and let's say you're up on top of the glacier. You've got a spectacular view for miles around. But all of a sudden a storm comes up, a powerful storm, a windstorm, and it threatens to just blow you off the face of the glacier. You're afraid that you're going to lose your life. You can't combat this storm. It's just too powerful. But then you find this crevice in the glacier, and you crawl down in this crevice, and it protects you from the wind. The wind howls all around you, but in that crevice, in that cleft, you are protected. You're safe. While you're sitting there, you're no longer afraid that you're going to be blown off the glacier. You're no longer in fear for your life, but you understand the power that is exhibited all around you, and you realize you don't ever want to tangle with that power. That is just something way beyond your capability to handle. You stand in awe of the power, and while the fear of imminent death, the fear of injury is gone, there's still a fear of the power that exists there. And you realize that's not something you ever want to tangle with. I want you to think for a minute and realize God's power is behind such a storm. God's power is behind that which would intimidate you. And while you may not fear that God is going to injure you or hurt you, you're aware of the power, and there is a healthy fear. The Bible the Bible makes several statements concerning the power of God and our position with God. And now, for some reason, I've lost all the scriptures that I had saved. Just a moment. Oh, here we are. It says in Psalm 17 verse 8, it says, "Keep me as the apple of your eye. Hide me in the shadow of your wing." It says in Psalm 91 verses 1 and 2, "Whoever dwells in the shelter of the Most High will rest in the shadow of the Almighty. I will say to the Lord, He is my refuge, my fortress, my God in whom I trust." Isaiah 26:20 says, no, that's the wrong one. I'm sorry. Anyhow, I want to concentrate. I'm sorry, I seem a little disorganized this morning. I thought I had it all together and was ready to go, but best laid plans and all that. But whoever dwells in the shelter of the Most High will rest in the shadow of the Almighty. I will say to the Lord, He is my refuge and fortress, my God in whom I trust. There's two ways to see God. We can see God as an adversary that we are pitted against, so to speak. We don't want to live the life He calls us to. We don't want to be the people that He calls us to be. And so God becomes our adversary. And in that position, in that situation, He is a God that we should fear, because His ability, His power, His resources so far exceed ours that we should literally fear if we're going to make God our adversary. The second way we can see God is as our shelter, that little cleft in the rock, that little recess that we can go to, that we can hide when the storms of life are coming at us and threaten to just overwhelm us. He is our protector. He is He is our shelter that we can find in times of trouble. And I think sometimes people lose sight of both of those positions of God. I think sometimes when we're going through difficult times, we don't think that there's a safe harbor anywhere. We don't think that there's a shelter anywhere. And instead of turning to God and asking for His help and asking for His shelter, we just try to stand against the storm all by ourselves. And then there are those that say, I can get through this life all on my own. God, I don't need you. And we become God's adversary, not even realizing we've done so. We try and push Him out of our lives, choosing to stand alone against everything that comes at us, even the will of God. I would much rather have a healthy fear of God, sitting in the shadow of His wings, sitting in the shelter of His presence. And while I have a healthy fear of Him, I'm not afraid of Him, because He is my Heavenly Father, and He's there to shelter me against the storms of life. Well, I hope that made sense to you. I'm a little long already. So you have a great day. God bless you. Take shelter in God's love. I'll talk to you tomorrow. God bless. Mom, if you're watching, I love you.